November the 14th. This is Coffee Talk. We get together 7 days a week, chat about what's going on in the world of weather. And at least in the world of weather, Tropical Depression 19 has formed. That's part of the two big stories we are following today. Trouble in the tropics. We're going to talk all about that. Plus, toward the end of Coffee Talk, a cold front approaching us. We'll discuss all the numbers, and I think you're going to like it. But first, let's get set up, see what's doing out in the tropics. And this morning, we have the trouble in the tropics. Tropical Depression 19 formed. It's down in the Caribbean Sea, not knocking on our doorstep or anything at that point in time just yet. But it's definitely something that we're going to need to watch. Maximum sustained winds are at 35 miles an hour. It is moving to the west at 15 miles an hour. And I would tell you that looking at the model data, there have been some adjustments to kind of its eventualities. And we talked ad nauseum about this yesterday on Coffee Talk. Satellite presentation looking pretty good. The forecast path from the National Hurricane Center is somewhat chaotic. Let's take a look at the cone from the National Hurricane Center and give you an idea. And essentially, it meanders around Honduras, that area there in Central America for a couple of days, right? Friday, Saturday, even into Sunday. And then by Monday, we start to watch the motion working up toward kind of the Mexico, Central America border there. Somewhere in here, winds will be at about 65 or so miles an hour. And then after that, toward the Yucatan by early on Tuesday. Now, a couple of things to take note here. First off, that has shifted a little further west. And yesterday on Coffee Talk, we discussed a lot about how the motion over land will really play into its eventual strength. That changed just a little bit, right? Here's the computer forecast models for the tropical system. Watch how hanging around and then eventually moving here. But, and I think Kellyanne Class did just a wonderful job on West 2 News Sunrise this morning talking about how this shows the paths, but it does not show the intensity. So this is only one part of the forecast story, right? This is also showing a significant amount of time over land, whether it's Central America or whether it's up into Belize, Honduras, up into Mexico, and then eventually crossing into the Bay of Campeche there, and then working out into the Gulf. So more land interaction, a weaker storm system. Does that make sense? So, I'm going to be very frank with you. The model trends this morning and even late last night have been somewhat encouraging for me here in Central Florida. Now, if I had friends or family that lived down in that area around Central America, Belize, I would have a significant worry. And I don't say that to be hypey. I mean, I'm just going to be very honest with you, all right? Because the more rain we see down that direction, the more flash flooding we will see in that direction. Our Futurecast model, let me just kind of show it to you here. And this is the most recent run showing cyclogenesis right on the border. But watch all of the rain that they're talking about there, right on that border. You see it there? That's where I really and truly worry. Let's talk about some of these rainfall numbers. All right, our Futurecast runs in the domain here. Just look at this. Okay? I I cannot stress enough my worry here for some of these rain numbers, okay? The whites 30 to 40 inches. Those grays 40 inches plus. That's through Sunday. Okay? So I I, I would say, and I'm like so cautious to say this, right? Like for us, more of a land interaction is a good thing selfishly for us, but for these poor souls here, this is an absolutely catastrophic kind of event. And understand too, the official forecast down here keeps it as a tropical storm. So this is another one of those examples of doesn't matter if it's a hurricane or if it's a tropical storm. This is a significant, significant, significant threat there. A significant threat there. My family cruised down, not quite down here, but down this area over the summer. We made it to the islands here, and they are just, it's so beautiful there. It's just so beautiful. Golly, if friends down there, family down there, please make sure to let them know this storm system is an awful scenario playing out. All right. That's the reality. Okay. That part of the world under tropical storm warnings. Golly, I hope that the folks that live there heed those warnings. Okay. I really and truly hope that they do, that they're aware. Hurricane watches are posted, tropical storm warnings are posted. I hope beyond hope, beyond hope that they heed those advisories. Okay, so that's what happens with this down there. By the time it gets to us, and again, and I showed you the models and I'll show it to you again. Okay, watch how the computer models have much more land interaction down there, then crossing Belize, crossing the Yucatan, getting out into the Gulf, and then clearly the data shows somewhat of a shift back toward Florida. The intensity, okay, is where this plays out. So that shift toward Florida would be the 20th / the 21st. So Wednesday into Thursday. So what do the intensity models look like Wednesday into Thursday? Let's take a look, all right? Latest model data coming in showing Wednesday into Thursday, a hurricane perhaps, but notice that the models are, yesterday, the day before, we were showing some Cat 3s, some Cat 4s. They have significantly dropped off because, and let me see if I can find this real fast, because, let me find this here, Tropical Depression 19. This is what I'm looking for, exactly what I'm looking for. Copy image address, stand by and I'll show it to you. Paste you, do that, do that. Okay, perfect. All right, so this is the ensemble mean trends, okay? Tomer Berg has, if you've ever nerded out on weather data before, Tomer Berg has just an unbelievable weather data product there. Let me resize this to kind of give you the full. It's got the color table. So what you're looking at there is that the different colors show the different ensemble mean plots. So in other words, model trends is the easiest way to look at this graphic, okay? All right, so black is the current ensemble mean trend, then purple, then pink, then orange, then yellow. Notice how each run has consistently, consecutively shifted. Shift, shift, west, west. Less, west, west, west. More land interaction, more land interaction, more land interaction, right? That would trend it weaker and weaker. And because of that, that is better for us, selfishly horrible for our friends down in kind of Honduras, Belize, Nicaragua, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that there is also why when we look at the intensity models, they have trended further down. Okay? So that's kind of where we're at with this storm system. All right. When we look at the global models, if I can find the button, when we look at the global models, Burris, there we are. When we look at the global models, watch through time with me. All right. They're both showing something trying to spin up. The models are taking it over a lot of land. And this is Tuesday. Earlier model runs were showing hurricanes, major hurricanes, even at this point. Current model runs, not. They're showing kind of sloppy messes getting picked up by a front and brought this way. So whatever ends up coming off of Central America, does look to want to get picked up from the Gulf and brought our direction. Hopefully not an intense system by the time it were to try to move to us. It's probably going to bring us some rainfall, frankly. Could there be a severe weather component to it? Sure. Even if it's not a tropical system, it could induce a severe weather kind of event. So it's something that we absolutely are following, something we absolutely need to follow. But yeah, Taylor says week goes west. Now, if this thing were to just ramp up like crazy today, that would change some dynamics. And even the National Hurricane Center, in discussing this, let me just read to you a couple of things from the Hurricane Center, okay? First off, their headline, life-threatening flash flooding expected in Honduras through the weekend. That's what I led with. That is my big paramount concern. Okay? Absolutely my biggest worry. Without any question. All right, so this is the forecast, and I'm just going to kind of read it, and then I apologize, I've not been reading your questions and comments. I'm just kind of on my spiel. As soon as I'm done reading this, then we can dive into questions and all that fun stuff. The satellite presentation of the system has gradually been improving. The latest subjective intensity estimates from TAFB and SAB are both T 30 knots, which makes sense. And based on the subjective Dvorak estimates, an improvement in the convective structure node on satellite, the system is upgraded to tropical depression. Totally checks out. Satellite presentation looks there. I checked the Dvorak data, which is that data is a way to get intensities, and there's math equations certainly associated with it, but the Dvorak is the way that we kind of gauge intensities before we can get recon data out of it. So anyway, I digress. Tropical Depression 19 moving faster just south of due west, although it should begin slowing down later today. Mid-level ridge, we don't need to get in. Mid-level ridge centered north of depression over the Straits of Florida to keep it on a westward track until Friday, taking the storm near the north coast of eastern Honduras and possibly inland. After that, the ridge is expected to break down, and the models agree that the cyclone will meander in weak steering currents late Friday through the weekend, which is the big rain event, right, which we were discussing. This is expected to slow motion cause heavy rains over the same region, likely causing life-threatening flooding over portions of Central America, which is exactly what we had been discussing. By early next week, ridging should become reestablished over Florida and the eastern Gulf of Mexico, which should cause the system to move northwestward toward Belize, Yucatan Peninsula. Very little changes made in the first 3 days. Beyond day 3, there has been a noticeable westward shift in the track guidance. NHC forecast is a bit west of the previous forecast beyond day 3, but not as far west as the bulk of the latest model guidance. Environmental conditions are conducive for development and intensification during the next day or two while the system remains over warm water, with low vertical wind shear, relatively high mid-level humidities. However, there is a significant amount of uncertainty. This is the whole reason that I'm reading this. There is a significant amount of uncertainty in how much the land interaction with Honduras occurs. The majority of models are showing the center to move just barely inland over Honduras or parking it right on the coastline between hour 48 and 72. However, if the system stays offshore, as shown by the latest HWRF model, which we'll look at, it could take advantage of the conducive atmospheric oceanic conditions and continue to strengthen. The latest NHC intensity forecast is similar to the previous one through 36 hours, but then about 5 knots lower than previous forecasts since this forecast shows a bit more land interaction. The latest NHC guidance forecast is above the high end of guidance envelope beyond 36 hours. So essentially, the idea, yesterday I said, the Yucatan Peninsula and all of that land would be the main focal point for intensity. And that's exactly what the Hurricane Center is saying. So that said, let's dial into some of the models, and they specifically reference the HWRF. So we'll definitely be checking. I need to make sure. Yeah, they specifically mentioned the HWRF. So we'll take a look at all of that. First, the American GFS model. So Chris is asking about like the elevations in Central America. It's not flat. That period. It's not flat. I don't know like the specificities of elevation, but it's not flat. There's terrain. Land interaction is land interaction, and it's not flat. Flat is less impactful than terrain, and it definitely has terrain. All right. So the GFS keeps it right along the shoreline. Then it becomes kind of where is the low? Notice it's a sloppy low by the time it gets to Florida on the 31st. So that's the GFS. Okay. Then a cold front sweeps through. Chef's kiss. High pressure. Another cold front sweeps through on the 27th. Absolutely love that. All right. Let's look at the European. Stronger low. Hangs around, crosses. And it's basically it's a broad low, nothing too scary, thankfully. Yeah. All right. So that's that. Let's look at the Canadian. Right along the shoreline or inland. And then the Yucatan. So there has been a considerable weaker dynamic here when looking at these models, right? Absolutely a beautiful trend for us, selfishly, but for Honduras, a terrible, terrible, terrible trend. All right. European AI. Yeah, also weaker. The model consensus has been significantly weaker. All right, let's look at the HWRF. Just off the shoreline, 997, 994, taking it inland at 1,003 millibars, 1,002, 999. So notable that the HWRF, and I'll widen it back out to just kind of show the synoptic HWRF. But notable that it's stronger initially, and then it comes back out and it stays stronger. It only goes out 126 hours on the 6Z. If we go back to the 0Z, it stays off the shoreline longer. So notice the 0Z, let's go from the synoptic back down to the storm level. Notice that this version, the 0Z, keeps it off the shoreline, deepens it, and then brings it ashore, whereas the newer version has a little more land interaction. And is a little bit weaker. So even the HWRF has trended a little weaker with some more land interaction. And so I think, I think at the end of the day, the best way to describe it is this guy right here. The ensemble mean trends. The ensembles have been shifting west in overall motion, and because of that, that's more land interaction, and because of that, that's an overall weaker storm system. So tropically speaking, this is great news for Florida. It's not write it off. It's just keep watching the trends, right? I don't think that this at all changes the mode I'm in. Keep watching the trends. That's all. That's what we have to do. We have to just keep watching the trends. You know? All right. Does that make sense? Chris says, I guess we'll know better by this weekend. Look, I think each day we're taking little nuggets of knowledge, little nuggets of wisdom here, and really kind of helping to get an idea of where we're at, right? So in terms of the storm system, moving into the Gulf next week, once it gets there, especially if it's a little bit weaker because of land interaction, wind shear should rip the thing apart, drag a cold front through. The question is, what does it do, right? Like, even if it's not a tropical thing, even if it's just a storm system, could throw more moisture at us, could throw the threat for some strong to severe storms at us. So definitely still dynamics we need to watch. Okay? Yeah, Carl on YouTube says, consistency breeds confidence. That's absolutely the truth when it comes to tracking the tropics. Absolutely the truth on where we're at. Absolutely the truth. Yeah, without question. Yeah. All right. So that's where we're at, my friends. Questions about this? Questions, comments, concerns? That looks like it's taking it right across Central Florida. Well, ish. But what will it be? Because it goes face first into this wall. We know it gets into the Gulf like Tuesday, Wednesday. So let's look at the wind shear products. There's a big old cold front coming. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Look at that big old ribbon of shear. It's going to be a ton of wind shear in the Gulf. So whatever it is, it goes face first into the wind shear. You know? Yeah. Debbie's asking, will it even get to Florida? Could it stay west? I think whatever this becomes and then gets ripped apart into, whatever this moisture is, will make it to Florida. Um, Consequently, interestingly enoughly, let me show you something. And it doesn't always have to be a tropical system, right? Check this out. This I think could blow your mind. You know I like to do that. First off, welcome our live first warning Doppler radar back to the mix. Welcome back. Your dreams were your ticket out. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. All right. Let me take you to Louisiana. Now there's a cold front. Let me see if I can go back 24 hours. I don't know if he'll go that far. Let's see if we'll go back 36 hours. Hold on. All right. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. You see all that moisture? Check this out. This is 7:30 a.m. yesterday. I don't know. Do I have watches and warnings? I don't know if that data goes back far enough. Watch warning data time. All right. I don't know if it'll show, but you see all this stuff? You know what this is? The remnants of Raphael. I only mention this because it was a nasty day for Louisiana. There were tornado warnings in Louisiana, and that was associated with the remnants of Raphael. So I mention this just to say that even if Tropical Depression 19 completely fizzles out, that's not to say that we won't have our local impacts, right? So yeah, Renee says Lafayette flooded. These are all hints into next year's hurricane season too, right? So anyway, yeah. Okay, questions now about Tropical Depression 19, my friends. Questions, comments, concerns, anything. Oh, we just missed the Starlink launch. Dag nabbit. Questions, comments, concerns. So rain regardless. Savannah under flood warning since Sunday. I don't know about Savannah. We'd have to ask, but rain. I think, Kara, without a doubt, I think rain chances are absolutely going up. Yeah. Watching the model data and whatever this is, by the time that it clears through, I mean, look at that swath of rain. That's Wednesday afternoon, Thursday morning. Wednesday into Thursday kind of look crappy for us. Whatever it is, if it's an organized tropical system, if it's a not organized tropical system, right? Like something. Yeah. Scott says the Lake Howell Band and many others will be competing in a marching band competition in Jupiter this Saturday. Do you think they'll have any weather concerns? No. Saturday is looking stunning. Cold front will have moved through. Look at Florida. Like, yeah, all this stuff is going to be bubbling south. Yeah. Cats, tats, and cats. Hey, Eric, can you tell us what you really think? 23 minutes of me doing exactly that. Yeah. Love that. What's the difference between the models? They show different things. They're different. The computer models, they're essentially just different math equations. So yeah, they're going to. I know you are cats, tats, and gats. Absolutely, I know you are. The computer models are just different math equations, so they're going to show different things. And by the way, the European just got a massive upgrade a couple days ago, so kind of have to see what direction it goes. Yeah. Could it become more organized in the Gulf? Depends what kind of land interaction we deal with, right? I think that's going to be the big litmus test is if it comes out in the Gulf as a complete farce of a system, then I don't think that the water temperatures are going to be warm enough for it to really get its act together, you know? Yeah. So there's that. Any other questions about the tropics, my friends? Anything? Sabrina, I'll be interested to see the hurricane-specific models once they get out far enough. That's definitely a piece of this for sure. Janice says, Eric always tells us what he thinks. Of course, my pleasure. Jen says, Euro's been a little off this season. Well, it just got an upgrade, but also, I think there's some pretty consistent data across the models. So, yeah. All right. So, thanks, John. Appreciate it, Mr. Man over on X. All right. So, let's talk about local. It's beautiful this morning. Let's just take a second. I'll pop up the 7-day forecast again in a second. But that's awesome. What a gorgeous, gorgeous morning we have. 7-day forecast though does have some changes in there. Let's chat about that, okay? First off, this morning's beautiful. Temperatures out the door felt great. Heading to 84 today, so a little bit warmer. But what's that? You see that, y'all? Tomorrow, 64 to wake up, 77 in the afternoon. Maybe a sprinkle or two as a front. What? Yeah, as a front moves through. Saturday, Sunday, highs in the 70s. Now, granted, on the 7-day forecast, very clearly, we've got that Wednesday. And for now, we're calling that some impact weather. High rain chance, because again, even if it's not a tropical thing when it comes through, it's still rain. And there's the potential of severe weather. Either way, kind of looks like a crappy day, which is why it got badged an impact weather day. So, but can we also take a look at Friday? That, my friends, that at least locally is the next big thing. Y'all ready for some football? Look at the change, right? Like today's nice, mid 80s, so a little warm, but tomorrow 77. Let's just take a look at tomorrow's forecast together, okay? I cannot wait to talk about this as well with you. High temperatures tomorrow. Look around town. 77 in Orlando or so. 75 in Ocala. 71 in Palm Coast. That's awesome. What about Saturday morning? You ready for this? Take a look. 57 in Orlando. 57 degrees in Leesburg. We're going to wake up when I see you on WESH 2 News Sunrise on Saturday morning. 50. We'll have some 40s up north of town. Holy cannoli. Matt says you came through from a birthday cold front. I did it just for you. Maybe. Wow. How beautiful is that? Scott says rain is rain, even if it doesn't have a name. That's it, man. You got it. So we've got some great weather. Great weather ahead. Man, oh man. All right. So that's where we're at, my friends. Questions, comments, concerns. How we doing? What the heck is wrong? What are you talking about, Yukon? See, we knew you could control the weather. Miguel, I have a flight out of MCO on Friday the 22nd. However, my mom is arriving first on Thursday the 21st. Wondering if their flight might be too early. I don't have any thoughts on it. For right now, I don't have any thoughts on it. We're just watching trends. Yeah. I'm sorry. I would love to be able to give you more information. I don't have any thoughts on it. Thank you, Kara. I appreciate it, my dear. Thank you. Millie says, my hubby will have to wear a sweater Saturday morning golfing. Sounds pretty great to me. Yeah. You can fly without sweating. The only problem is I'm doing an instrument flight on Monday. I could use some clouds. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it, buddy. Yeah. Lisa says watching trends, weakening is good. And I think that's where we're at right now. We're watching the trends, right? I'm also watching, after coffee talk, I'm going to step outside. That's not so terrible. That's really not so terrible. And our forecast today, not looking so terrible either. It's going to be a little warm, but still quite nice. All right. Questions? Anything? Anything at all? Questions? No? How is the wind? Lovely. I don't know what you mean. How's the wind? I don't know. All right, people. That's all I got. For those of you that watch this, I want to thank you so much. For those of you that are maybe popping in because of the tropics, I'm going to start doing Coffee Talk in a Minute. I did it yesterday. Seems like people liked it. Hopefully, James says, dude, I asked about the MJO 5 times. Dude, there's a bunch of times where I'm not looking and living and breathing by the comment section. We're in Madden Julian oscillation phase, which is why something is trying to develop in the month of November. But wind shear and cold fronts have their way also. But yeah, we're in MJO phase for the next couple of days. By late in the month, we go out of phase. Anyway, Coffee Talk in a Minute. I'm going to try and start doing that. That way, even if you don't get a chance to watch this half an hour diatribe, you could at least get a quick update. So let me know what you think of the Coffee Talk in a Minute. That's all. Would love your feedback. I'm trying to take... Gotcha, James. That's all. And when I look, I can see it. Yeah. John, can you do the Coffee Talk, the 1 minute Coffee Talk on YouTube? Yeah, I'm trying to get that set up. Totally got you, James. I answered it. That's all. It's tough because the comments are going through, and if I'm using the computer and I don't, all of that. All of that. Matt says, Coffee Talk in a Minute was like a quick espresso shot. Very good. All right, cool. I like it. So I'm going to keep doing it then. It takes me like 5 minutes, and I think it's kind of neat. So, all right. So I'm going to go. I'm going to go do Coffee Talk in a minute, and we'll do our thing. All right. Be the sunshine in someone else's day. Thank you all so much. Take care. We'll talk.